What's going on, everybody? The slow death of concerts. Wow. Checking out this video. I just found this. I'm like, this is interesting. All right. We're talking about this industry stuff. Let's get into some different viewpoints. Hear what people are talking about. The slow death of concerts, right? We've been seeing that all these people, all these artists, all these bands have been canceling tours recently, this year specifically. Economy is not what it used to be since COVID, right? It's not. It's totally not. We've been trying to like figure out what's this new economy? Because things aren't the same, at least not in all industries, right? We got this guy, Vinny Guarino. I don't know this cat. Check him out. Check out his channel. Check out the video. Check out his other videos. It's labeled in New York. You don't say. This guy's in New York. No, Vinny Guarino. Yeah, okay. Let's get into it. Let's see what's going on, what he's talking about. Let's do it. Bam.
They say there's nothing better than seeing your favorite artist live. So why is no one in the crowd anymore? Going to concerts is my favorite thing. And while many may say getting married or graduating from med school was the best day of their lives, for me, it was seeing Frank Ocean, or being at the Life of Pablo premiere, or seeing SZA at a club and meeting her after, or going to the Donda listening party in Atlanta. Concerts are the ultimate form of the listening experience because it takes a world that you've only visited with a pair of headphones on, or in the car, or in the shower, and makes it completely tangible. And in the last few years since the world ended, it's felt like there was no better business to be in but the live event industry. Tours coming into town every week, once-in-a-lifetime festival lineups, unbelievable spectacle. It felt like we had entered a live music renaissance, and on paper, we have. Live Nation seen record-breaking earnings. The biggest music moments of the last year involve a stadium tour and a rap beef that culminated in a diss concert, but this is saying otherwise. Ticket prices have gotten out of control. Yeah. Artists like Megan Thee Stallion, Future, Metro Boomin, and Travis Scott can't fill seats, and entire tours are being Thanos snapped out of existence, while Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and the CEOs of the ticket companies are Scrooge McDucking into their fortunes. So what gives? Why can't anyone else sell tickets? Why are some of these artists doing big venues in the first place? And why does it feel like we're witnessing the slow...
Ticket prices are too high. I got other shit to spend my money on. People have all kinds of choices of what they're going to spend hundreds of dollars on. That's the thing, is that ticket prices didn't used to be hundreds of dollars for a ticket, right? They'd be $25, $50, $80 like max. It's not like that anymore. I look around at venues to see who's coming, or somebody announces a tour that's local to me, and I see how much the ticket prices are. I'm like, yo, no, I'm not paying that. I'd rather pay my electric bill. That's literally my electric bill, or my, phone bill, cell phone bill, or whatever. It's like, no. That's crazy. That's crazy. I can't even imagine being a single without a kid and this much money on tickets, let alone married dad, no way. Nope. I don't want to see you that bad. There are other options. Why are they playing big venues? Yeah, that could be some ego. It could be, maybe not. It may not all be ego, but there's definitely that. And also, artists are trying to strive to like be on those be at the arenas, those bigger concerts. To me, I personally like theaters. I'm like, theaters are where it's at. Theaters are super nice. They're great venues. They're more often than not made for music. These arenas are not made for music. So a lot of times, depending on where you are, it sounds like garbage. So why would you spend hundreds of dollars to go to a concert that sounds like garbage? Forget all that. It's going to concerts over for regular people like you and me. I suppose that depends.
Death of concerts for regular people like you and me. Today we're going to answer those questions while also asking who's to blame. Is it the artists and their management's egos, the economics and logistics of touring, the corporations like Live Nation and Ticketmaster, or us, the consumers? So without further ado...
Not the consumers.
Open that shit up. One of the most fascinating pop culture disasters of the last year has to be Jennifer Lopez. I mean, I really could just do a whole video on her alone. The Bennett reboot, the Io Debris recordings, the album, the film for the album, the documentary for the film, the album, and the Bennett reboot. J-Lo's been everywhere. And it was all set to culminate with this massive arena tour, the This Is Me Now tour, which was then rebranded to the This Is Me Live, The Greatest Hits tour. And eventually was just retitled well, it wasn't. They just canceled that shit. They could not sell a ticket to this thing for the life of them. Especially at those arena prices in a now shaky economy. And J-Lo wasn't the only star of the new millennium.
Also, what is her song? I don't know. I just see J-Lo and Jenny from the Block. And okay, all right, fine. I don't know. I just see her more as like because she's more than just like a musician artist, right? Like a music artist. She's an actress and like all that kind. Like I just see her as bigger than that. So I don't even think of her, frankly, as a music artist. Is that weird? That might be weird, but I mean, consumer, and consumer perception, that matters. Consumers are not wrong. Consumers, I fully think that out of that lineup, consumers are not wrong. Consumers are the ones that vote with their money. They're not wrong.
Whose ego was a bit bruised by a seating chart on Ticketmaster. Just ask the Black Keys, who didn't nearly have as dramatic and layered of a flop as J-Lo did, but had to cancel the North American arena tour due to poor ticket sales as well, ultimately going as far as firing their management, which definitely remember that for later. Like, it's not like they were sending out Lil Mabu to headline MSG. It was J-Lo who co-headlined the Super Bowl and sold out an arena tour the same year as well in 2019. And the Black Keys, who have spent the last decade and a half successfully selling out arenas around the world. And while you may be saying, old things old, who cares? It's not just them going through these ego checks. It's the stars who dominate all your playlists today, too. It's one thing to be an artist past your prime having trouble garnering the same kind of enthusiasm audiences once had for you. It's a whole other thing to be top of mind on Twitter. One of the more common trends in recent memory has been the use of slow and low ticket sales as a way for different stand groups to clown and attack an artist they don't like, or just for some good old-fashioned Elon engagement. I mean, listen, those checks are pretty nice. I can't blame them. And while online vitriol like that may not even be a big deal for guys like the Black Keys, for acts skewing younger, it could do a lot of damage to their image. Travis Scott's Astroworld Tour, tragedy aside, was a major cultural moment in its multi-year dominance. And while the Utopia Tour had and is still having viral moments in the major cities, struggled to generate the same kind of mania in certain parts of America. Even to the point where resellers were trying to sell tickets they bought for $14 because they just wouldn't sell. Metro Boomin and Future had two of the biggest albums of 2024 so far. Their collaboration with Kendrick Lamar is one of the biggest hit singles of the year. But their We Don't Trust You tour has also fallen victim to a case of slow ticket sales. And at this point, it's had to cancel 5 shows because of it. It's most definitely a Brat summer here in New York, but I don't think it is in Nashville. And then, of course, there's Megan Thee Stallion, who's fallen victim to a lot of misinformation being spread about whether or not she could fill the stands of her tour. A lot of those tickets sold maybe due to a steep discount that was put on them that saw tickets going for as low as $25 a piece. Just remember that one for later. And also, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you like hearing a dumb idiot like me yap about pop culture. I love doing these videos and chatting with you guys in the comments. And I also want to apologize to everyone out there who wants these videos to come out a lot quicker.
He does a good job making videos. I'm a one-man
operation right now, so it takes a lot of time. But definitely check me out on the other socials like Twitter and Instagram. I'm active on there daily. Plus, this video was voted on here on my community tab and on my Instagram. So if you want to get 2 votes next time. So yeah, hit like, subscribe, comment, double chunk chocolate cookie, and let's get back to the show. As someone who goes to a lot of concerts, the arenas with empty seats scattered throughout has really become a prevalent thing in the last year or so. And it definitely feels like it's in stark contrast to only about 2 years ago, where scoring tickets to anything felt like a massive W. The obvious conclusion to draw here is people falling victim to their own egos, but I think we have to at least acknowledge that maybe there might have been a reason for their egos to be that inflated in the first place, even if it was off what in retrospect was a false sense of priority. So if you'll indulge me, let's rewind those clocks to a long, long time ago, the year 2020.
Yeah, you got that yummy, that yummy, that yummy,
In the post-Napster streaming world, touring has become one of the most vital streams of income for an artist. You put out an album, you sell some merch, you announce a tour, sell some tickets. That became the path of financial success in the music industry. But then 2020 happens. The world shuts down, you can't go to concerts, or really do anything for that matter because pandemic. But naturally, we were all just dying for that day that we can go back outside and see our favorite artists and share those experiences with our friends and family and strangers. Hell, not even our favorite artists either. I'd have seen Pitbull if I could. After COVID restrictions and lockdowns lightened up in 2021, there was tons of revenge spending going on after a lot of people spent over a year and a half cooped up in their homes. And when it was time to start touring again, people were more inclined to see concerts more than ever. New acts, legacy acts, everyone seemed to really just be eating good off all of this. To the point where even with the high ticket prices, you were okay with it because you knew what it felt like to literally not physically be able to do that thing. And this definitely went on for a little bit, I'd say up until about early 2023. And that's where it seemed that the well was starting to dry up. Because if you're just existing right now, you've noticed that times have gotten tough. And shelling out money to indulge on experiences has become more and more difficult to justify for a lot of people out there. And the moms and
stuff being that expensive, you can't sustain it. That's this whole inflation, stagflation thing. Prices staying higher for longer. They've been saying, I mean, I got posts from 2020 of the Fed talking about all this. This has all been there, and they put it out there. Like, this stagflation thing has been the thing that was going to happen for years. It's just the longer that it goes on and these high prices continue to go on, it's like the tide goes out and you see who's not wearing any underwear type of shit, you know? It's like, it's just what it is. Shit's too expensive. And if you're starting to fall behind, you're not spending on this crap anymore. You're not spending on it. You are not spending on it. It's like times are not as good as people were making it out to be. It's like, yeah, okay, great. We're out of the pandemic. But are we really? It's like a different pandemic. It just shifted. It's like, okay, you can go out, but we have like an economy pandemic. We have like a whole other, that's the thing. The economy just like shifted. All these people, how can you expect things to just go back to normal? All these people just lost their jobs and their businesses, things that took them years to grow. That's going to take more than a year, more than 2 years, more than 4 years to figure out and pivot and rebuild or whatever the decision is. And then everything is just super expensive on top of that. Everything just keeps hiking. Everybody's car insurances are going up. Everybody's homeowners insurances are going up. The gas, daily expenses, gasoline for your vehicle, electricity for your car vehicle if you got one of those, or for your house, groceries, right? Regular expenses. They're not going to be spending on these luxuries, basically. This is entertainment. You got entertainment at home. We learned that. You know, better than ever during the pandemic and when we had to stay home. It's like, nah. Forget all of this. I want to see your concert. It'll be on YouTube in no time. You know, or I'll go and see a past concert of yours on YouTube. Nah. Forget it. And the audio quality will be really good. You know, and if I go to your concert, if it's in an arena or something like that, like I said, audio quality may not be good. Audio quality may suck because it's an arena, you know, not a theater, which is made for music and performances like that. Anyways.
And dads who make up the fan bases of Jennifer Lopez and the Black Keys are maybe not as inclined to see someone they already saw in 2022 or before the pandemic, especially if you're not even listening to their new music like that. And same is going for a lot of the younger acts who have toured heavily in the last few years, or are frequently headlining the endless amount of festivals there are year round, or, and I think this speaks to the current landscape of the music industry in general right now, the amount of stars there are. It's a different time from when I had to go to the store and physically buy a CD. The actual value of your streams means a lot less in the grand scheme of things that it doesn't translate to ticket sales and or merch. And in that moment during and after the pandemic, a lot of artists were led to believe that they were as big as their numbers or their viral moment they had at a music festival were telling them, especially in the places outside of the major cities. So while yes, I do think that the egos of the artists and management definitely played a factor into all of this, you set it to the backdrop of a cultural economy of will or won't they be relevant by Monday, then factor in the supply of artists touring or trying to tour, and you have to bet on yourself or your artist, and if they'll be able to command a tour that far in advance while booking venues. Because if you don't take the date now, someone else will. And this idea of J-Lo booking an arena tour in 2024 maybe made a little more sense when they were locking these dates down however long ago. But to add fuel to the fire, the economics of it all begin to explain even more. Because then you start asking, well, how are they even finding these places to get booked in the first place? Or the crews to work with them? And how much even is all this?
Yeah.
Just like it's not cheap to buy tickets to a concert, it's not cheap to put one on either.
I mean,
especially after the pandemic. And with the insane amount of touring going on since 2021, it's caused a shortage of not only venues to perform in, but things like crews that help with the lighting and the effects and the sound, necessary equipment, and things like transportation, which in Stereo Gum's amazing piece on this matter. An anonymous tour manager said that he had to book a private jet for the first week of the tour because there were no buses available to get them from city to city in time. And even that was going to cost the artist upwards of $100,000. With that surge in demand and the rising cost of everything right now, it's made touring an expensive feat to pull off, which in turn creates a conundrum for a lot of artists out there. How do we recoup all these expenses and still make this trip at least a little financially beneficial for all of us? I.e., the reason why tickets are currently as expensive as they are, but also why artists may opt to perform in bigger venues, because the bigger the show, the more money that could potentially be made by expanding the supply of tickets in the market. So with artists like Charlie XCX and Troye Sivan, right? Their tour is like the Eras tour for chronically online hipsters. And in one of the major cities like New York, they command so much of an audience that they could probably fill up MSG, the outside of it, and the roof if they really wanted to. Playing some of the biggest venues in these major cities made a lot of sense for not only their fan bases, but their bottom lines. But in places like Columbus, it's not like that at all. So why not just opt to hit the major cities with your fans? Well, that's where this all gets really tricky. Because you're already paying the day rates for your crew. You've rented out all this equipment. You're paying for the hotels and tour buses and travel. You might as well start picking up shows in between. So you try your luck on some riskier cities because they may help you break even. And then to the question of just playing smaller venues in those markets, the same mentality comes into play. Downgrading the showing in between stops becomes very costly because again, you're still paying for all of it. And this is where things start to get really interesting if you know where I'm about to go. For a lot of artists, their tours are being promoted by a major promoter like Live Nation, who will give an artist an advance of a certain amount of money to help pay for the expenses of the tour. But with that advance, you need to sell tickets to pay it back. So in Charlie and Troy's case, it's safe to assume that they maybe might have been given an advance for the tour. Is it making any sense? Yes, no, maybe. Probably not. And I think that's normal confusion because even when I was observing all of this, I still was asking the question, isn't this all still a really big risk? Like what happens if you aren't selling out all the other shows? Even if it is at 70% capacity, how is that going to get you your money back as a promoter? Who really benefiting here? Because you still seem to be spending more than you're actually bringing in with the tickets. And yeah.
And as long as I got my suit and tie, I'ma leave it all on the floor tonight.
The way concerts work is first, there's talent that wants to perform. And most of the time they have a manager. And then there's venues who need people to perform them so they can make money by someone hosting the space. But also for things like food, drinks, and in some cases, a portion of the merch and the ticket sales. So then there'll be a promoter that works with the venues and the artists and their management to get the shows to be put on. And like we spoke about before, sometimes promoters are looking to book big tours, not just one show at one venue. So they'll give an artist a big advance, which can be used to help pay for expenses on the tour. And the artist must recoup that money as part of the deal. Or they'll be in the red, or even in some cases may have to keep on doing shows until the advance is paid back. Back in the olden days before the internet, you had to actually sell tickets at the venues or in person. But now the internet's made that easier with services like Ticketmaster, which, just saying Ticketmaster and Easy in the same sentence is just very ironic. And on Ticketmaster, they put up a show. You can be anywhere in the world and you can buy a ticket to that show at any time you want. Then there's Live Nation, who not only act as event promoters and venue operators, but also work in the talent management space as well, owning management companies like 360, LMG, Blueprint Management, and Jay-Z's Rock Nation, just to name a few. This is John Bellion, a singer-songwriter from Long Island, who's wrote and produced hits for Eminem and Rihanna, Justin Bieber, Jason Derulo, Maroon 5, Miley Cyrus, the list goes on. And overall, has had a pretty successful solo career. John was signed to Capitol Records of Universal Music Group and had signed a touring deal with Live Nation. And in this deal was given an advance of $1 million. They set him up to play at all these famous venues like Jones Beach on Long Island, the House of Blues, and the Greek Theater in LA. And for a kid from Long Island selling out these shows and doing what you love sounds like someone's dream becoming a reality. But John started noticing things as he was touring, like why was he obligated to buy a specific amount of food that he knew no one was going to eat? Why did he have to buy 300 rolls of toilet paper? Which then started to make him look...
Because you're owned. Because it's not, you were given this advance. Let's not even talk about the record labels have 360 deals on you guys, which means you're getting this money from this company. Well, we're getting a piece of that. So there's all that. Yeah, no. This all sounds like a bad deal. This all sounds like a bad deal. And also I don't know. I think that just bring it back to the old school, think of those local bands and how they blew up and they just worked their local scene and then they worked the local scenes near them right? Next to them. They would just have a van, have whatever, however you're going to do it. And just build it that way. It's like they don't want to do that anymore. They just want to go from, hey, I put my stuff on the internet and I got 100,000 streams and so-and-so is signing me now or whatever. I want to just go on these arena tours. I'll open up for so-and-so and so, you know, and go on these bigger things. Get me in these festivals, this, that, and the other thing. Instead of just like, it's like the only groups that are doing these smaller venues now, or these mid-tier venues. Really, it's the mid-tier venues. And the step up from that, all just the ones that are underneath the arenas. It's like those, I feel like, aren't being utilized or aren't utilized well enough by some of these artists. And if they would just go down to have a more intimate tour, and they're doing those types of venues, they're going to sell out all of them, right? As opposed to just staying up in these arenas and doing these massive venues with intense amount of there's just so much overhead that goes with that. And then hoping to sell out, like you need to sell out this massive thing. It's like, no, just scale it down. And I just feel like they would do better. Your ticket prices may be able to come down. More people would be able to see you. It would just make you more in demand, more favorable among consumers, I think. Anyways, there's a lot to it, but I'm just like, no, come on, man. Come on. The balance sheets, it just work on your balance sheet. Okay, we don't exactly what he's talking about. Whoa. We don't need this. Get rid of that. Well, we don't need this. Get rid of that. Here's the things that we need. All right. Yes, it costs money, but this is manageable. And it's manageable at these ticket prices. And we can make them this affordable or at this price. They don't need to be hundreds of dollars. They could be $100 or whatever it is. You know, just not some insane shit. It's like these arena tours. It's like $100 is for the nosebleeds. Then add fees. You know, then add fees. But if you want to be anywhere where the sound is decent and you get a decent view, that's hundreds of dollars for these things. It's stupid.
Deeper and deeper into his deal with Live Nation, because while he knew he had to pay back the advance that they gave him, he started to see the walls closing in on him. And then is like, wait a second, Live Nation owns Ticketmaster, who puts all those fees on the tickets that everyone hates. And Live Nation owns a bunch of the venues that I'm performing at. And because of that, they're making money off the $20 hot dogs and drinks that they serve and the parking in the parking lots.
Yeah,
and not only am I not seeing a dime of that, that's not chipping away at my advance. And then it hits them.
Yeah,
I'm just a body in all of these venues, so them and their partners can make a bunch of money off fees. And not
that's
only
what I'm
that,
saying.
but then they'll start making money off the food, the drinks, and the parking too. And I'm in the red.
Throw your own events, you know? Throw your own events. The more control you have, yes, it takes more work, but you get the benefit. You get all of the good stuff of it. People don't want to do that work though. Yeah, it's easier and you need a team, and it's easier to, you know, just be like, okay, I can go on and Live Nation will handle it, or, you know, like that type of level team. But look at what's happening. You're getting screwed. It's insane. This is not a good deal. And yeah, look at what this guy is uncovering and talking about. It's like, it's not all that. It's not all that.
Spending all this money, which means I'm gonna have to sell out every single show on this tour to pay back the advance. Which you might now be thinking, well, isn't that the reason why tickets are priced the way they are, so everyone can make money off this? Isn't that why you travel to all these venues, to recoup as much money as you can? Yes, but what if I told you Live Nation reserves the right to change the price of the tickets, and that $100 tickets now being sold for $10 at a big summer blowout sale, and that you might be filling up these seats and selling out these shows, but your advance is only paid back on hard ticket sales. And yeah, the idea of everyone constantly touring, overestimated data, bringing artists to venues they probably shouldn't be performing in the first place, discounted tickets, it's all starting to add up. Because Live Nation has even called concert promotion a loss leader for them, meaning they'll take a loss on that, but make up for it with the ancillary parts of the live experience. Food, the drinks, the parking, the cuts of the merch they're going to get, the cuts of the tickets. And then someone like John Bellion will keep doing more and more shows to pay back their advance. In the end, he actually ended up buying his way out of the contract by giving Live Nation $1 million plus an additional 25% of their advance. But it does beg the question, he can't be the only one, right? Because not only does he think something's up, but so does Uncle Sam.
She make balls like property, collect them like Monopoly.
This is Live Nation, the biggest concert promoter, artist management company, and venue operator in the world. And this is Ticketmaster, the world's biggest online ticketing service. In 2010, to much of the dismay of industry professionals, artists, consumers, and politicians, the two merged to create Live Nation Entertainment. And after years and years of people calling for the two companies to be broken up, all it took was a bunch of Swifties not getting some tickets to the Eras Tour for the DOJ to take the complaint seriously. Yeah. A few weeks ago, the United States Department of Justice sued Live Nation Ticketmaster for monopolization across the live concert industry, accusing Live Nation of maintaining an illegal monopoly across both concert promotion and ticket selling.
It's been
and
like
with the
that
power
for
they hold in the
decades.
market, they use it to stifle
Decades.
competition and pressure talent
like
into
that for
using only their
decades.
services. In short, if you want a tour, you have to go through them one way or another. Because
No, you don't. Nah, fuck all that. You don't. You need to figure out a different way. There's a different way. You need to be creative. There's a different way. You don't have to go through them. You don't have to do all that stuff. Did Louis C.K. not do that? He was like, nah, fuck all that. I'll figure it out my own thing, right? Bands need to do that.
that they don't own the venue, they definitely have a partnership with the venue in some way or another, and may even be selling water that they have an ownership stake in. In the DOJ's complaint, they accused Live Nation of allegedly threatening and retaliating against venues that work with rivals, locking them into these long-term exclusive contracts that would exclude them from using non-Ticketmaster services, and restricting artist use of venues unless they use them as a promoter. Essentially what the DOJ is trying to achieve here is to get Live Nation and Ticketmaster to break apart, after they allowed them to merge in the first place during the Obama administration. They believe this is going to help create more competition in the market and ultimately create a better experience for fans out there who will benefit from things like low ticket prices due to things like their exorbitant fees. To which Live Nation, in their response to the matter, responded by saying, well, the prices are set by the artists and their management, which, you know, they manage a bunch of. Their response was a lot of finger pointing at other corporations, saying, look at what they do, they're just as bad. But it was like Twitch, PlayStation, Uber, Meta, Apple, Alphabet, you know, not live event ticket services or venues or promoters. But the big thing that I noticed in the lawsuit was this section about their relationship to the real estate company, the Oakview Group. The Oakview Group was founded around 10 years ago by these guys, Tim Leiweke and Irving Azoff. And they've now become the owners and operators of many venues around the world, including arenas. If you don't know who Tim Leiweke and Irving Azoff are, Tim is the former CEO and president of Live Nation.
I did a gig with that guy
competitor, AEG. And Irving Azoff is the former chairman and CEO of Ticketmaster, and then former executive chairman of Live Nation after their merger. But that isn't even like the bulk of what Irving Azoff's career consists of. He's mostly known for still being one of the most powerful talent managers of all time. The alarm that the DOJ's rung in regards to Oakview Group is that they've gone for potential competitor turned partner, and that they've allegedly described themselves as a hammer and protector of Live Nation. And now I'm not accusing, I'm not stating anything as a fact. I'm just going to point out some things in all this lore that have been reported. Irving Azoff, former CEO of Ticketmaster, executive chairman of Live Nation, and Tim Leiweke, like we said, from AEG. Irving Azoff left Live Nation in 2012 because, in his words, running a public company sucks as an entrepreneur. But in 2013, when AEG was about to be sold to the private equity firm Guggenheim, in a shocking turn of events, the sale was terminated, and Leiweke resigned in a mutual agreement. Allegedly, he was fired due to the company's founder, Philip Onschutz's hearing that he was trying to influence the choice of buyer for AEG. So with these guys out, they formed this new venture, Oakview Group. Remember when we talked about the Black Keys and their arena tour getting axed, how they fired their management? Well, Patrick Carney of the band stated, we got right after this all went down. And their manager, none other than Irving Azoff. And funny enough, it was a Live Nation promoted tour using Ticketmaster, and was hitting some of the Oakview owned arenas on the tour. Take with that what you will. J-Lo's tour, Live Nation. Metro's tour,
I mean,
Live
yeah,
Nation.
of course.
Remember
All
Megan Thee
these
Stallion selling those tickets for
mega
$25?
artists,
Remember what
course.
John Bellion said? Megan signed to Rock Nation's management arm, which is owned by Live Nation, and her tour is produced by Live Nation. And now guess some of the venues they all were hitting on their tours. Oakview. And guess what ticketing service is being used at every one of their shows? Ticketmaster. In the eyes of the DOJ, Live Nation's grip on the industry has made it so that at all levels of the live experience, their influence and power is unavoidable. And whether you're a venue or a manager who works outside of their official payroll, it's in your best interest to play by their rules, because for every J-Lo, there might be a Harry Styles on the horizon. So will the DOJ succeed with their case? Who knows? I'm no legal expert. I'm just a stupid idiot with a camera. But what I do know is something's got to give. Or this experience for people like you and me that once was attainable just might become a thing of the past. They say all good things must come to an end. And with the direction things are going, the
you're only
barriers to
talking
entry
about
for not only
specific
fans,
venue
but
sizes.
artists and
That's
live
where it's
music
like,
keeps
no,
growing
it's not
bigger and bigger.
over.
As
You
the
need to go
pockets
to
of the ones
different
at the top
venues.
keep being filled, the
Different
more and more you
spots.
look at these tours,
Smaller,
and venues,
specifically.
and the management of talent, you start to pick up and understand why it feels like the walls are closing in on artists like Jon Bellion. And in the end, it's not just the economy, but greed that's contributing to this slow and upsetting death for the concert experience for the common man out there like you and me. And whether it's the DOJ or more realistic planning by management, changes need to be made before it's too late and we're all just watching concerts on Amazon Prime or the Live Nation owned Veep. I don't know, maybe this is the plan, but to me, there's nothing better than hearing your favorite artist sing the song that changed your life inches away from your face, feeling that sense of
That's
euphoria.
a lot of money. That costs a lot of money to
feel. That's
get
what live
that
music
experience.
does.
That's
It lets you
thousands.
live in it and feel it. And also this.
All right, cool. All right. Yeah, this guy makes good videos. Check out his channel, definitely. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I just think that this is where smaller bands, I think, have the upper hand. Because they need to go more guerrilla style on just all around. On the venues that they're playing. If they can figure out, or if they have somebody on their team that can help book alternative venues, things that are not look at all the warehouses and areas, just different industrial properties and commercial properties that are vacant. I'm just saying, I'm not just like that guy. I'm not some genius. I'm just an idiot with a camera and a mic, right? But I'm like, there's got to be some other way. There's got to be some other way. You don't need to do it this way. You just think you do, but you don't. You don't. The more control you have, the more of the cut you're going to get. That's a big deal. That means you don't need to do all those big numbers. You can do smaller numbers and do just as well or better. And that, frankly, to me, for the fans, is going to be a better, more memorable experience than some arena show where you're just like a sardine in this place. It's like, it's crazy. And you paid so much money for that experience of being a sardine crammed in this place. It's just, and now you don't know if you got rent. It's like, it's just all too much. It's too much. It's way too much. I think forget all of it. And I also, depending on the artist, I think a lot of these artists aren't even worth it. They're not even worth it. That's obviously music is subjective. So there's that, that all depends. It may be your favorite artist, but I don't know, I don't know. And also this is where I think just festivals are better. And I know that, festivals are going to be Live Nation Ticketmaster anyways. But like I said in a previous video, the festivals are going to be the better value for that type of money, right? It's just going to be the better value for that type of money. Like I said, I went to Coachella a few times when I lived out in the desert out there. And it's like, to me, that's great. That's worth it. That's an experience. You're there a few days. You're seeing a ton of bands, ton of artists. It's the experience of it. It's not intensely overpriced, I think, for what you get, especially compared to some of these concerts right now of just individual artists, individual bands, or, with supporting acts or whatever, where you're only seeing 3 acts, 2 acts. And it's like nearly the same price as Coachella. It's like, depending on where you're sitting, it's like, yo. And again, the audio quality of some of these arenas, it's not made, they're made for sports. They're not made for music, stuff like that. Theaters are made for music. Go to a theater. It's always going to be better. I just, just as a musician and also, so playing theaters, and also as somebody who's seen music, went to concerts at theaters, to me, that's just always the best. Theaters are my favorite. So anyways, slow death of concerts. I think, again, it depends on the type of concert, because any of these smaller venues, these more mid-sized venues, local bands, local artists, regional bands, regional artists, those you can still go to. They're still attainable to you. Music, at least for me, it's always been this way. It's all about like digging and finding the new music. If you're just like fed, and sometimes you find new music that way where it's like you're fed it just via like pop, right? It's like pop music or something like that. You hear it on radio, you hear it on whatever. If you really want to find music that you like, you need to search for it. You need to dig for it. You need to look around for it. You need to go on Spotify and dig and look through similar artists and listen to a lot of music. You need to listen through a lot of not good music or just music. Again, music is subjective. It's stuff that you don't like, maybe doesn't catch you, in order to find music that does catch you and excites you, because that is the payoff. For me, that's always what it's been, right? I've been doing this since I got a computer, and I remember it was like mp3.com or something like that. It was some like little, this is when Amazon was just selling books. Like when I got a computer in like 94 or 95 or whenever it was, and like finding music, digging into music in that way, and like, right, Winamp and Skins and stuff like that, all that, I would be trying to find music that I'd never heard. And that's how you find cool shit. And that's also how you then get invested in them, because it's like, wow, I found them. It's like a treasure. I found them. They're really good. Wow, this is my band. Stuff like that. That's how like you become vested into it. There's always going to be music. There's always going to be concerts. There's always going to be, performers. There's always going to be musicians. It's always going to be the case. It's what it is. Yeah, the dynamics will change. Yeah, the situations will change. The context will change or whatever, because nothing stays the same. That's a guarantee. Nothing stays the same. Things change, things evolve, things morph. They have to. You cannot just stay the same. Nothing stays the same. So is it actually the death of concerts? No, I don't think so. That's what I gotta say. All right, but for this kind of thing, yeah. And no, I absolutely don't think the consumer is wrong. The consumer is not wrong. You hear Gene Simmons talk about consumer is never wrong. Consumer, you don't say what art is, the consumer does, right? You may be in your room and writing what you think is a masterpiece, but nobody cares. That's the consumer saying, nope, it's not a masterpiece, right? That may be harsh. That may be difficult to hear. That may suck or whatever. It may still be good what you're into or what you're doing or whatever, but that's just how it works. That's how it works, right? I mean, for better or worse. It's like, if nobody buys it, if nobody's into it, if nobody's checking it out, if nobody's viewing it, that's the consumer voting. There it is. All right. Thank you, guys. Catch you in the next video.